welcome to R.K MEDICOS. In this section, we're going to discuss about the spinal cord part 3. So in part 3, we are going to see about the white matter. In previous section, we already see about the gray matter of the spinal cord and the different nuclei are located in the gray matter. What are the nuclei are present in the different regions, anterior part, posterior part, or the intermediate part, or the lateral part of the gray matter of the spinal cord. So you can see here in the central, what is located here? Gray matter. So this is the gray matter, this is the gray matter, this is the gray matter. These all are gray matter. What is white matter? We can see here these all regions are white matter. What is indicated with yellow? These all are white matter. So now we are going to see only white matter, and in the white matter there is a white matter. What is white matter? Basically the white matter is the collection of axonal part of the neuron. It means suppose that this is the neuron and this part of the neuron is gets collected here. This part, only this part, they are collected like this. These all axonal parts is going to collect, and that is called as the tract. The collection of axonal part of the neurons in the central nervous system is basically called as tract or the white matter. So we can see in the spinal cord, what happened in the spinal cord, the gray matter is situated centrally. You can see here these gray matters are present in the central region. In this picture you can see clearly in the central part there is a gray matter is located, and the peripheral part what is located? White matter. But in the spinal cord it's only happened. What happened in the brain or the cranium, the inside the central nervous system in the brain, the gray matter is basically situated on the periphery of our cerebral cortex basically, and in the center of the brain there is a presence of what? Tracts. It means white matter. So it's so simple. In the brain the white matter is situated centrally and gray matter peripherally, but in the spinal cord the gray matter is central and the white matter is in periphery. So you can see here in the spinal cord the gray matter is located centrally, it is true, and in the spinal cord the white matter is located peripherally, it is so true. But in the brain, what happened in the brain? In the cerebrum or either cerebellum, there is the gray matter is located on the cortical surface. It means they are on the periphery or the cortical region or the cortex, and the white matter is located in the central region. And these containing the numerous nuclei itself. In the white matter, suppose that in the white matter there is several nuclei are also present. Nuclei is what? The collection of cell body in the central nervous system is surrounded with white matter. It's called as nuclei. It's so simple. The nuclei is basically surrounded with white matter. So it's easy for you to understand here. You can also see this white matter of the spinal cord is divided into 3 sections. We are going to say the first section name is anterior white matter, lateral white matter, and dorsal white matter or the posterior white matter basically. So same as the gray matter is divided into 3 parts, anterior, intermediate or the lateral and the posterior, 3 parts. Same as the white matter, they are divided as a gray matter. Here the anterior, lateral and the dorsal. Now we are going to see what are the tracts. What are the tracts? Tracts is the collection of white matter of the axonal part basically of the neuron. These are the present in the anterior part. What are the tracts in the lateral part, and what are the tracts in the dorsal part is present. And tracts are basically 2 types. I'm going to tell you they are the 2 types on the basis of their movement of information. When they are going to carry information from the different parts of our body or the sensory fibers, and they're moving upward in the body and going to the brain, that is called as basically sensory, efferent and the ascending tract. Simple. What the brain is, this information is assessed by the brain, processed by the brain, commanding by the brain, or after the processing, commanding this information, the brain is going to send impulses to the down, and they're coming from the brain to the brainstem, then spinal cord, and then coming into the different parts. They're going to the effector part of our body. So these all moving downward, they are called a descending, motor and the efferent fibers. So these are so simple. They are the 2 types of tract. So in this white matter, 2 types of tract we are going to see. Either ascending tract or either descending tract. Either the tract is moving up or either tract is going to down. So these are the two types of tract we have to discuss in the white matter of the spinal cord. So we are going to see how we are going to classify. You can see here in this picture, these are the spinal cord region. You can see in this picture there is two types, descending and ascending tract. Ascending one is basically carrying information and going up, that's why they are the sensory, and the moving down one is descending, that one is motor. So you can see also here, that is the motor, this one is sensory. So what are the tracts which carry information and going upward, it means sensory? There are three different types of tract. We can see here the first name is dorsal column. It is very important here. Dorsal column is present in the dorsal part of the white matter of the spinal cord. Next one is spinothalamic tract. One again, that is they moving from the spinal cord to the thalamus of the brain. That's why they are called as spinothalamic tract. This is the another tract which is also present in the spinal cord gray matter. In which region? In the lateral region or in the anterior region. That's why there are two types. Because they are present in the anterior region, they are called as ventral or the anterior. One of them is present in the lateral, that's why they are called as lateral. And what is the name of tract? That is a spinothalamic tract. So these all three tracts are the ascending tract, or they are also called as ascending tract or sensory fibers. They carry sensory fibers. They are also called as afferent fibers. They are going to up, that's why they are afferent. So these all tracts, the dorsal column, a spinothalamic tract. The spinothalamic is basically two types, the lateral and ventral or the anterior. They are the three tracts which are included inside the ascending tract. We also discuss everything about the different types, so how they are going to perform their function. These tracts are going to, how they apply in our body, that the different function of it. So next we are going to see the descending tract. They are carry the information from the cortex to the downward. It means the brainstem or the different parts of the spinal cord, and then coming outside. So they are the two, basically they are the different types. We are going to classify it later, but for now, lateral corticospinal tract and ventral corticospinal. The main tract is here corticospinal tract. It means simple, in the name everything is hidden. Cortico means cortex, and then moving downward to the spinal cord, corticospinal tract. So this is the two types. One is in the lateral region, that's why lateral corticospinal tract, and what is in the ventral region, that is the ventral or anterior, either anterior or either ventral, and this one is posterior or dorsal. So these are the two tracts. So these are the classification. You know the location, where they are located, how the tracts are going up and down. You know everything now. Now we are going to see several definitions, and later on we are going to classify these tracts. We can see the white matter. The white matter contains tract. Yeah, it is true. All I told you. What is tract? It is basically the collection of axon in the central nervous system. The collection of axon in the central nervous system, the axonal part of the neuron, in the same origin and the course and the termination and their function, origin and everything will be same. That's why these fibers are called as tract. Now we are going to classify the tract into two types. You can see here these tracts are classified is either into ascending or either into descending. And ascending one is all I told you, what is called as sensory, and a descending one is called as motor. All I told you this point also, these fibers are carrying information. The ascending one, the sensory one, from our hand they're moving towards the spinal cord. So a spinal cord, they're going to the thalamus, spinothalamic, and then to the cerebrum, that is cerebral cortex, either cerebrum or cerebellum. So they are moving upward. That's why ascending or sensory. Next one, descending, they are from the cortex to the spinal cord, moving down and then to the effector part. So these are the same. Next we are going to see about the descending tract in a specific way. In the descending tracts, they are classified into several groups, and after that there is several different types of the descending tracts. So we are moving towards the descending tract. This descending tract is classified into two types on the basis of their passing their structure in the brainstem, where they are going to pass in the brainstem, basically in the medulla region, where these structures are going to pass, these structures are going to pass through the pyramidal part of the medulla oblongata. In the medulla oblongata is having basically two parts, pyramid and olive. When these fibers are going to pass with basically in the pyramidal part of the medulla oblongata, so these fibers are called as pyramidal tracts or the pyramidal tract of the descending tract. or the pyramidal part of the descending tract. And what are the tracts which are moving from the up to the down, and they are passing through the different parts of the brain stem, but they are not going through the pyramid. That's all the fibers are called as extra pyramidal fiber. And what are these tracts carry information from upward to downward? We are going to say what are the name of these tracts, what are the function of these tracts, what information they carry, what is the information this carries by these tracts. So it's very important for us to know. So we are going to see the pyramidal tract. There are the two basically, and it's very important: corticospinal tract and the corticonuclear tract. Now you know corticospinal tract is so simple. They carry information from cortex to the spinal cord. It means cortex to the spinal cord, they carry information. And next one, corticonuclear, they carry information from cortex to cranial nerve nuclei, from cortex to cranial nerve nuclei, and then going to the different parts of our body. See, these are the two types of pyramidal tract: corticospinal and corticonuclear. This corticonuclear and corticospinal tract is controlling in our body gross movement. It means like what is the gross movement? Basically like the talking, walking, different types of the main movement of the walking, or we can say like the running. These are the gross movement. In these movements the body required the main muscles of our body. What is the musculature of our body and the locomotor system? They are working very fast. So in this action, corticonuclear and corticospinal tract is acting, and that's why they are called as the gross movement. They are the bigger movement of our body. They are controlled by the pyramidal tract. Suppose that there is any lesion in these tracts, either corticospinal tract or either corticonuclear tract, it leads to person is having hemiplegia. Why? These tracts are going to pass through the only one side of body. If there is any lesion in these tracts, it leads to the hemiplegia of the body. Hemi means half, plegia means paralysis. The patient gets half paralysis of the body. It means the right hand side of the corticonuclear tract is going to be affected. It means the right half of the body is not working. The whole right face, the whole right hand, or the whole thorax region, or the abdominal region, or the lower limbs, these all are not going to work. That is hemiplegia. Now we are going to see the extrapyramidal tract. In the extrapyramidal tract, the first tract is rubrospinal tract. Next one is vestibulospinal tract. Third one is tectospinal tract. Fourth one is reflexes, movement controlled by the head and the neck controlled. Next one we can see here. Fifth one, reticulospinal tract. So these are the 5 different tracts which are included in the extrapyramidal tract. Now we are going to see one by one. What is the main function? From where they start, where they begin, where these tracts are going to begin, from where they start. Like the same corticospinal, corticonuclear tract, they begin from the cortex and the nuclei of the cranium. Same we can see here, rubrospinal tract is going to start from the red nucleus of the midbrain. In the midbrain, there are several nuclei are present. Same, in the midbrain, there are several nuclei are present. It means we can see this is the midbrain, this is the cranium, this is the pons, medulla, and the spinal cord. This is the midbrain. In the midbrain, a nuclei is present, that is the red nuclei. And we can see like this. Here is the red nuclei is located. This red nuclei, from here, these fibers are moving down. These fibers are moving down. These fibers are moving down. And that's why they are called as rubrospinal, because they are going to a spinal cord. They are moving to a spinal cord from midbrain. They are red they are the red nuclei. That's why red, rubro means red basically. Rubro means red. That's why they are called as the red nuclei of the midbrain is moving downward, and they controlling the activity. What they are going to control here, we can see they are going to control the flexors and extensors. They are going to facilitate the flexors. Suppose that here is our hand is now in the flex position. It is flexed. Now it's extension. So this rubrospinal tract is going to facilitate. They are going to promote the flexor muscles. If the muscles is going to in the flex position, so it is promoting it. It means it is inhibiting the extensor muscles of our hand or the upper limb or the lower limb, different regions. So now you tell me, they're facilitating what? The flexor muscles, but extensor muscles is going to inhibited in this. This tract is controlling the flexors and extensors activity. Now we are going to see the next tract. we can see vestibulospinal tract. Vestibulospinal tract is basically vestibulocochlear nuclei is located in our ear. They are going to start from the ear and going to the spinal cord. It means they are regulating also the flexor and extensor activity. What they are going to facilitate? They facilitate the extensors and inhibit the flexors. We can say they inhibit the flexors, and rubrospinal tract is facilitate the flexors. They are opposite to each other. They are in the function. Next we can see the tectospinal tract. Tectospinal tract. Tecto is also part of tectum, tegmentum and the vastus. They are the three regions. We can see, suppose that this is the midbrain. It is having three regions. There is a tectum, tegmentum and the basis. Three parts of the midbrain. From the tectum there is several tracts are passing. That is tectospinal tract. They are starting from the midbrain and they are moving down in the spinal tract. They are going to control. We can see here this tectospinal tract is going to control. We can say the superior colliculi and inferior colliculi nuclei are also present in the midbrain. We can see here. Suppose that midbrain, MB, pons, medulla oblongata, and this was suppose that cerebrum, and this was cerebellum on side of the midbrain and pons and medulla. Now we are going to see in the midbrain two nuclei are present. We can see one is upper in the superior part and one is inferior part. What the nuclei in the midbrain located in the superior part is called as superior colliculi, and inferior part there is a presence of nuclei that is called as inferior colliculi. We can see the inferior colliculi and superior colliculi are the two nuclei which is present in the midbrain. Superior colliculi is basically regulating the vision or visual activity is regulated by the superior colliculi, and inferior colliculi is regulating the hearing and balancing. We can say hearing and balancing. These are the two things regulated by the inferior colliculi. So now you tell me the tectospinal tract is also part of the midbrain and they are going to control the superior colliculi. It means they are regulating the vision. Superior means we can also say the eyes are superior to the ear. It means the superior colliculi of the midbrain is regulating the visual function and the inferior one is regulating the hearing function or the balancing function. Now the third one we can see here, the reflexes from the head and the neck region of the visual stimuli is regulated by the extrapyramidal tract, modified only by the posture and movement. That is extrapyramidal lesions is regulated here. It's not so important. But next fifth one we can see reticulospinal tract. Next fifth one. In the descending tract, already told you there is two types of nuclei, corticonuclear and corticospinal. Particularly the corticospinal tract is divided into two parts. We can see here the corticospinal tract is the two parts, anterior and the lateral. Corticospinal one. They are the corticospinal tract. It means they are starting from cortex and moving down. It means of course it is descending tract. So you can see the corticospinal tract is begins from the cerebrum. They are moving down within the form of corona radiata. Corona radiata is basically, it is form of the radiation shaft. We can see, suppose that this is our cortex. We can see in this picture. And from the cortex, the fibers are moving down in the form of radiation. You can see here. These fibers are coming in the form of radiation. And this radiation is called as basically corona radiata. So they are moving down. After the corona radiata, the fibers are coming to the internal capsule. Internal capsule is also, we can see here. This is the internal capsule region. Let me kill you. This region is basically internal capsule. It is the space through which the fibers are coming down, the descending fibers. So these fibers are moving down from here to the internal capsule. These fibers are moving down. So these fibers are moving down through the internal capsule. The first point, cerebrum. Second point, that is corona radiata. Third point, internal capsule. And after that, they are reaching to the midbrain. After that, they are reaching to the midbrain, and in the midbrain, they are passing through the crux cerebri. In the midbrain, they are passing through the crux cerebri part of the midbrain. Suppose that this is the midbrain part, midbrain portion, and in the midbrain portion these fibers are moving down and they're passing through the crux cerebri part, and then pons, medulla, and till the medulla these fibers are not going to cross anywhere. They are coming to the same side. Either if the brain is having this section, suppose that we can see here, this is the left portion or this is the right portion. So till the medulla we can say these fibers are in the same side. They are not going to cross anywhere in the corticospinal tract. But after the medulla, these fibers are divided into two parts, and one of the fiber is moving in the same side. One is the anterior one, and one the fiber is going to cross in the another side, that is the lateral one. And suppose that these fibers are 100%, and 100% of it, the 85% of the fiber are going to cross in the another side. It means if the person is having in the medulla oblongata, the fibers are 100%. They are coming from the same side, left side. It means these fibers are in the left side of the medulla oblongata. But after that, these fibers are going to decussate. It means they are going to cross. They are going to in the contralateral side, and that is 85% of the fiber of corticospinal tract is doing like this. But after that onwards, that is 10 to 15% of the fiber which is not going to cross, which is not going to contralateral side, which is not going to opposite side. They are moving to the same side, in the left to left or the right to right. They are moving to the same side, and these fibers are moving down. That is only 10 to 15% of the fibers, and these fibers are going to the till the terminal part of the spinal cord. These fibers are moving in the same side. Now we are going to see the crossed fiber will be 80 to 85%, and the uncrossed fiber will be 10 to 15%. 10 to 15% fibers are called as the anterior, that is uncrossed, and the which crossed will be the lateral. The anterior corticospinal tract is the 10 to 15% of the fiber, and the lateral corticospinal tract is containing 80 to 85% of the fiber. Now we are going to see these fibers crossing at the level of lower end of medulla. Suppose that this is the medulla, we can see in this picture. This is the medulla. It means here is the upper part. It means here is the lower part. From the lower part they are going to decussate. You can see clear in this picture. In the lower part these fibers are going to decussate here. And here is the lower part is medulla, upper part, lower part, and in the lower part these fibers are going to decussate here. So next we can see what is written here. Even the uncrossed fibers will cross. What the fibers are not crossed, they are crossed in the spinal cord at the level of termination, and they comes out at the lower motor neurons. What is lower motor neurons? Basically the fibers or the neurons which are located at the spinal cord level and moving outside of our body, that fibers are called as the lower motor neuron. Upper motor neurons are basically the fibers which are coming from the cranium and they're moving to the spinal cord level. These all are the moving upward to downward. That one is the in the cortex to the spinal cord. They all are the upper motor neuron. So we can see what is the applied anatomy basically here. It means what happen if the patient is having there's any trauma or the lesion of these tracts. So we can see the lesion of corticospinal tract or the descending tract. If the above the medulla without decussation, it means above the medulla these fibers are not going to decussate. It means there is a lesion at the same side. It means contralateral hemiplegia or same side hemiplegia. If the above the medulla, it means contralateral hemiplegia occurs in our body. Suppose that if the above the medulla the fibers are going to not decussated, and it means there is a leads to contralateral side of the body is not working. But in the at the level of a spinal cord, if there is any damage or the level of a spinal cord any damage, it leads to same side of the hemiplegia. It means after the decussation at the level of medulla oblongata, these fibers are moving to the down at the same side. What the side is decussate, that side will be not working. It's simple. If the damage in the spinal cord, but if the damage above the medulla, it will lead to the contralateral damage of the body. So it is all about a spinal cord part 3rd. In next section we are going to see about the ascending tract. So thank you. See you next video. Bye bye.